here's the proposition I want to put out before you guys this morning, and that is that technological change is something that's pretty constant in our existence. But as Neil Postman and others have pointed out, is that, there's always a trade-off.
At the last presentation of the Chapman Visiting Scholars Series for 2012, Dr. William Cumiford talked with Nicholas Academic Center students about the benefits and sometimes hidden disadvantages of technology in its many forms.
What I'm suggesting to you, though, is these older forms of communication, these older forms of cultural habits that we talk about here, are things that are going to be affected in one way or another. And I want to emphasize this, I'm not talking about the influences here being bad ones. I don't want to make that kind of value judgment. I just want you to be aware, that sometimes in society when things change, things get altered, older ways of doing things get abandoned or at least marginalized over here. Then stuff that we take up new over here, has to perhaps be re-examined in terms of what we're actually doing.
One thing that I learned today with the Chapman lectures was that, being aware of time and progress, and how when you progress in some things, you're kind of giving other things up.
You got to think in terms of this. Technology is not about tools or techniques. It's not about devices or instruments. Technology is about any kind of change we experience. It's about conceptual things, like time, time.
Moving the conversation forward, Dr. Cumiford explored the role and status of heroes and celebrities in relation to changes in time and technology.
Do you have a hero, and who is that person? It doesn't have to be a family member necessarily, but it could be, obviously. Who's your hero?
I think a real hero is this person that's always going to be there for you, that's going to be able to help you out, and that you look up for.
Heroism has something to do with a historical context, you see. Something that transcends time, that come down to us through time. But celebrities are different, aren't they?
This Chapman lecture series was really interesting because I realized how in the past heroes were glorified, and now they're not really even thought about anymore. It's become more in the now, more of celebrities instead of heroes and people with moral values.
As we have more and more images brought before us in the entire landscape of TV and media and multimedia and streaming media and so forth, our celebrities come and go at a much more rapid pace, don't they? They're not around long. So when you're thinking in terms of your historical memory, what that memory serves for you and how it encapsulates your values, how your memory would encase your values, how it would inform you, who you are as a person. It was good to think in terms of finding a hero. Because the great thing about heroism is you don't have to be personally introduced to them. You have to be aware of them. You have to be aware of what they represent. And they really have to be value-oriented.
Since the Chapman Visiting Scholars Series was established in 2010, hundreds of Santa Ana Unified School District students have been exposed to a collegiate environment through lectures such as the one presented by Dr. Cumiford. The lecture series is made possible through the partnership between Chapman University and the Nicholas Academic Centers.